blood and torment, fire and death. A pillar of the Stable Diffusion community has been axed. There's been a leak of a world-class AI that generates the most succulent, the most titillating waifu that you ever could imagine. The fear now is that this model will find its way into the wrong hands. Untold chaos will be unleashed on the world. Mohammed Mastock just accused community members of illegal activities, kind of. OpenAI just changed its policies again, and now their main thing they're doing is clubbing baby seals. Pandemonium! Okay, sorry. I've had my fun, scaling back a bit. I just spent 6 hours with someone from the Discord called PeePa, and we've just been reading threads upon threads upon threads and clicking IMG links and piecing together everything, and finally we managed to get a nice timeline of the events since October 6th. Not only that, but PeePa, our man on the ground, bloody ninja legend Chad level 6000, got an exclusive interview, well I guess just a regular interview, but it felt pretty exclusive, with AUTOMATIC1111. So that's pretty cool. We've finally got his thoughts on the whole matter, and I think it's probably the first time he's spoken. And what we wanted to do was just sort of make an unbiased account of what's been happening, so that rather than doing what we did and spending like 4 hours freaking out searching Discord forums, you can just like have a nice cup of tea and just have a bit of a think about it in like a calm manner, which I think would be good. Okay, so let's just start at the beginning. Stability AI. It's a company. It's like a big company. We've all been using their flagship product, Stable Diffusion, and it might not even be fair to call it a product because unlike most companies, they actually went ahead and open sourced it under this very permissive open source license, which, like, just before we even think about anything else, I think we should acknowledge that that's pretty cool that they did that. And one of the big things about Stability AI is that they rely on an open source community to make tools for people like you and me to be able to actually use the cool models that they build. Then there's another company. That's sort of the second player in this little game here. They're called NovelAI. They were founded in 2021. They're a private company. They're in the US. They have 40,000 users apparently, but that's probably an inflated figure. There are 16,000 people in their subreddit. One of the big products is this text-to-anime model, which is, by all accounts, a bit better than anything Stable Diffusion can do, and also a bit better than waifu diffusion even. So that's been really good. Apparently people are using that a lot to make things. The sort of key fact here is that the two, Stability AI and NovelAI, have like a good relationship. Emed came out saying that NovelAI had like been a really big help to Stability AI with scaling or something. Relationships like that between these two big companies that have large user bases and are set to grow and continue growing are like good from an investment perspective. They're the kind of thing that investors really like, you know, to have those kind of collaborative things going on. It's not the kind of relationship that either party would like to jeopardize. And this brings us to the fateful day, October the 6th. This is 4 days ago now, and sometime during October the 6th, a leak occurred. A huge amount of code and model weights from NovelAI got put onto the internet for anyone to grab. And of course, that's what they did. A lot of the dissemination seems to have happened on 4chan. Now, this is really serious for NovelAI because NovelAI, they're an AI company. They have this service that they make you pay for. You know, you pay money to use their thing, and then you get the waifu that you really want. And now that this model is out there in the public, there's not really an incentive for anyone to pay them anything anymore. And that's a problem. From a corporate perspective, you know, put yourself in the CEO's position, you are sweating nails right now. And you need to show your investors and the people that were backing you that you have the situation under control and that you are taking deliberate action to put it right. Immediately they start searching for anyone who's got this code or got links to this code or is uploading torrents or anything or uploading information about it, and they start taking it down. They take it off Reddit, they take it off 4chan, they are down there, you know, in the trenches, they're taking names, they're kicking down doors. That's the mode that these NovelAI guys are in right now. Which brings us to the final actor in our little play here, AUTOMATIC1111, who is a prominent member of the open source community working on Stable Diffusion. AUTOMATIC is the person who set up the most popular web UI repository on GitHub. It has thousands and thousands of stars, and most people, including myself, use that repository to run Stable Diffusion locally on their computers. No one can deny that his contribution so far has been very big. And now, at 0700, almost certainly less than 24 hours, probably less than 8 hours after the leak, Automatic makes a new commit to his repo. And this repo is adding support for something called hypernetworks. So what are hypernetworks? Well, for now, let's just leave it with two facts. Hypernetworks are a machine learning concept of some kind, and they're very uncommon. There are only a few places where the concept is mentioned, but one of the main places is inside of the code that got leaked. Okay, so you might say, right, well, you know, that's an unfortunate coincidence. He happens to be working on hypernetworks just when this leak happens, what a shame. Well, the term hypernetworks was never used in a commit message before that commit, the commit that occurred within 24 hours of the leak. And since that commit, it's been used in another 7 commit messages. So in my mind, this hypernetwork feature seems like it is a direct response to the leak. Using these new hypernetwork features that Automatic started building on the 7th and has continued building since then, users can take the leaked code, if they happen to have it for whatever reason, and use it easily to make images with it. I do want to emphasize though that neither me nor PeePa could find any evidence that AUTOMATIC1111 was involved in spreading around the leaked code or copying it himself or anything like that. Now obviously NovelAI found out about this really quick and they were not happy at all. And one of the things they must have done is contacted Stability AI and told them, hey, one of your community members, this Automatic guy, is helping people use stolen code that was stolen from us. And that's really bad because that cuts into our, directly makes us uncompetitive. And that's a huge issue and we're actually going bananas right now. So as Stability AI, you have this quandary. You're either going to stick by this Automatic guy and say, no, he's fine. We're not gonna weigh in, and then completely blow your relationship with NovelAI out the water. Or you can side with NovelAI and say, okay, yep, we'll do what we can and just sever all ties with this Automatic guy and stop providing him support. And to me, if we're talking about pragmatic decision making, it seems like the first option is obviously the better one to go with. Because, NovelAI, they're a reasonably sized company. They've proven that they're reasonably competent. They're not a bunch of ninnies. If you keep working together with these guys, you'll probably be able to do cooler things and provide better products in the future. They're like a good ally to have. Whereas this Automatic guy, I mean, he's done good work for sure, but at the end of the day, he's just one person. The code he's made is open source. There'll be other people replacing him. In fact, there are already other people who are making repositories that are very similar. Even if Stability AI thought that this guy was doing a really good thing, it's still reasonable of them to cut ties. That makes sense. So maybe that's what happened. But also, it's not obvious that Automatic is doing the right thing. There's certainly some people who would look at what he's doing, disseminating corporate property, providing it to people who are under-resourced so that they can use it themselves. That all seems very noble from a certain perspective, but from another perspective, he is aiding criminals. Within 8 hours, Stability AI representatives contact Automatic and accuse him of using stolen code, and tell him that he's going to be booted from all of their services. Now, there's a lot of debate about whether or not Automatic specifically took the leaked code and copy-pasted it into his own project. There are a lot of posts about that on Reddit and Discord, but I think this is sort of a side issue. Whether or not he actually stole code, the bottom line is that Stability AI no longer wants to associate with him. And in my opinion, they probably have very good reasons for that. It'll be hard to argue to a board of shareholders that, no, we have to stick by this dude who's doing possibly dubious things and jeopardize our relationship with this other company. That seems I don't know if I could make that case. I don't think it's too important the exact conversation that went down between Stability AI representatives and Automatic. At the end of the day, they just don't want to associate with him anymore, and that's their prerogative. Near midnight on October the 7th, which is within 48 hours, possibly within 24 hours of the breach occurring, NovelAI representatives make posts on social media stating that a breach has occurred. This was generally viewed as like a really good move because people are used to not being informed about breaches for months and months. So that was like considered a really good move, and it also shows just how proactive and on the ball the NovelAI guys are. Based on how proactive they're being, I'm sure they were also applying a lot of pressure to Stability AI to do something about Automatic. Automatic was then banned from the Stable Diffusion Discord. This was likely around 8 PM on the 8th of October. And he was also banned from a bunch of other Discord servers, such as Unstable Diffusion. But then, shortly after the ban, Iman Motask makes a post talking about the ban. He uses very vague language, which again I think underscores the fact this probably isn't like a specific contravention of a specific rule, but more sort of a general stance that Stability AI just doesn't want to associate anymore. While talking with Automatic, we got the impression that some of these conversations and interactions and bans weren't very pleasant. But that certainly hasn't stopped him from publishing code. At 6 PM on the 9th of October, a detailed, very detailed, in-depth, high-quality guide was posted on the discussion page of Automatic's GitHub, telling people exactly how to use the leaked code, should they so happen to have it with them. As I'm recording this, it remains up there. To me, that sends a fairly clear message. But of course, the big question is like, why? He knows that these big corporate entities, which have a lot of power and a lot of wealth behind them, are not going to be happy with what he's doing. So what's he aiming for? Why did Automatic do all of this? Again, PeePa somehow, I don't know, managed to get a text interview with Automatic. Absolute legend. And also thanks to Automatic. I'm sure there are a lot of people spamming Automatic with God knows what requests right now. So thanks very much for taking the time to clarify a few things. Basically, the outcome of that interview was that Automatic's main priority is 4chan. Because of course, that makes perfect sense. When asked if he was concerned about the ban, he said that Stable Diffusion Discord is not a big deal. And he was actually more upset, or he seemed a bit more concerned, about being banned from another raunchier Discord called Unstable Diffusion, which is known for its NSFW content. He told us, there is one community that I care about. People posting about Stable Diffusion on 4chan. He told us that, according to him, paid marketers making these conspicuous posts had been ruining the quality of discussion on 4chan. In his opinion, some of these marketers were probably associated with NovelAI. And since the leak, Automatic told us that he believes his practice has basically stopped. Which sort of makes sense. So if there were these people who were being paid by NovelAI to convince people on 4chan to use NovelAI, as soon as the leak happens, people are just going to use the leaked version. They're not going to go to NovelAI. So there's no incentive for the marketing. I haven't looked into these claims at all. This is just what Automatic said. We also asked him if he thought it was fair that people were sharing, this proprietary code that had taken so much money and time and effort to build. And he didn't seem bothered at all. Basically, Automatic's priorities seem to be community and free discourse, and he doesn't seem so concerned with corporate prerogatives. Which is not surprising, since, he's a prominent open source contributor. That kind of, that tracks. Okay, so a lot of people are taking this whole saga very seriously. And in a way, I think that's a good sign. That really shows this community is really healthy and people are concerned about where the community is going and they're engaged and they're active. And I think that says a lot of good things. If I'm Emad right now, I would be feeling kind of chuffed, because all these people really care very deeply about the community that Stability AI has built. So that's really cool. And I don't actually think there's a huge amount of cause for drama here. All we have is just two sets of competing interests. So on the one hand, you have NovelAI, who, as a company, they are forced to care about their profits. So, keeping their property and IP safe is like a really important thing for them. And on the other hand, you have Automatic, who's like, he just cares about free discussion and his favorite 4chan board. And now there's a leak. The two entities here sort of want opposite things. Automatic's like, yep, let's spread it wide. NovelAI's like, please don't do that. Stability has to make a choice between them. Can't keep everyone happy, it's impossible in this case. So they've decided, for reasonable reasons, which are honestly very reasonable, to side with Stability. At least they're reasonable in my opinion. I don't think this is a betrayal of a community. I think this is sort of a rock and a hard place scenario. you know, you can see as an individual, you see what Automatic's doing, and you're like, oh yeah, that's cool, you know, on ya, right on. But if you imagine for a second that you're not an individual, you're like a company, you're like a director, you have all these responsibilities, you have like employees, you have mouths to feed. What Automatic's doing is the kind of thing that you wouldn't really touch with a 10-foot pole here. I honestly can't really fault anyone's conduct here. It's just people want different things, and that's fine. And I guess one of the big things is that it looks like Automatic doesn't even mind being banned that much. He seems really chill about it, at least from the interview. Okay, that's it guys. If you have any questions, discussion, or you have like anything interesting, YouTube comment or the Discord, and yeah,